Well, good day to you and welcome back. I have two Royal typewriters here. These are branded Royals, but they were made by Silver-Seiko in Japan. To your right is the manual portable Royal Mercury. You've seen this typewriter several times before on my channel, and this is the second Mercury I've had, by the way. I really like these little typewriters. To your left is the electric Royal Saturn in this spectacular blue color, which I really like, and you saw this machine recently in episode 414 of the Typewriter video series. And in that video, I adjusted the force with which the type bars are hitting the platen by decreasing a spring tension on the drive pulley. And that made a big difference in the quality of the imprint on this machine, but the platen is still rock hard. On the Royal Mercury, it had a rock-hard platen also, but late in 2023, I sent the platen off to J.J. Short and got a newly recovered rubber on it, and it has made a big difference in the quality of the way it types. So I'm thinking I'm going to remove the platen out of the Saturn and ship it off to J.J. Short to get it recovered, but I also noticed that both platen rollers on these machines are the same length and the same diameter, and the carriages are essentially identical. The platen knobs are slightly different style. The carriage return arms are slightly different style, but the carriages are essentially identical. Before I ship off this platen, I thought, let's swap the good platen or the new platen out of the Mercury into the Saturn today, just to see how it improves the performance of this machine before I ship off the platen roller. But before we do that, I need to do some sample typing on this machine with the old platen, first with some thin typing paper and then that same thin typing paper with a backing sheet. And after we get done with that, we have to take the platen out, and it's not going to be easy because it is a known problem with these Royal Mercuries and this line of Silver-Seiko machines that this left-hand platen knob is extremely tight, but I fortunately figured out a way to take it off safely, and so we'll do that shortly. But now let's get into doing some sample typings on the old platen. Okay, turn on the machine, thread it up here. Okay, now we're going to use the backing paper. So here we have a sample of the same paper with and without a backing sheet, thin Mead general purpose typing paper, which is pretty representative of a lot of kind of papers I like to type on. Well, the reprint of the procedure from the Royal Mercury manual, the service manual itself, says, first of all, remove the right platen knob by loosening the two set screws, and then it says remove the left platen knob by turning it clockwise. It is a left-hand threaded knob. And the actual manual procedure warns you that this will be very tight, and it suggests that you put some cloths or rags around the knob and use a pair of pliers. I actually tried doing that on the Royal Mercury, and I ended up making a little blemish on the plastic knob. So these are extremely tight coming from the factory, and what I found worked, the only way I was able to do it on the Mercury was I bought a set of strap wrenches. The two that I bought, there was a wider one and a narrower one. The narrow one I'm going to thread underneath the platen roller, the strap itself. And then I'll be able to get a purchase on the roller, and then the other strap wrench goes on the knob, and then we can crack the joint and get the knob loosened up. So instead of taking off the right knob first, I'm going to crack loose this joint first, and then hopefully we can do the rest of the procedure and take the platen out. So I'm going to move the platen over to the left as far as I can to give me a little room here, and then the paper release lever, I'm going to release that so that it gives me a little bit of room underneath the feed roller tray. So the surface with the serrations on it is the surface that you turn it, and I'm going to be turning it this way, so I need to have the strap going from underneath. And this is a challenge, It was certainly a challenge on the Royal Mercury getting the strap underneath, but hopefully this will work. Well, sometimes things don't go as you hope, and in this case, I can't get the strap through, but it's holding the platen really tight, which is all you really need it to do. So the next thing is, we're going to try to turn this guy. Okay, I think it just broke loose. Yes, see that? Yay! So you don't really need to get the first strap wrench all the way around the platen. You just need to immobilize the platen so you don't do something stupid like using pliers on it or something like that. Okay, let's take out the platen. Loosen the set screws and take off the right platen knob, like that. Okay, the next thing is there is a screw and a spring underneath this arm that does the line spacing. And we are supposed to unscrew that screw and take it off along with the spring. And then the part where we unscrew the left-hand knob clockwise, because it's a left-hand thread, like that. And then it says to push the platen toward the left and lift up the left side first. So I got out the metal part here. Let's move it all the way over like that, and it picks up like that. Okay, so let's look at some of these parts here. So you have the threaded shaft on the left side of the platen roller, and then you have this gear. This is the drive gear, the sprocket for the line spacing, and that gear fits on the shoulder of the knob shaft. So if you were to put those two together, you can see they kind of fit like that. So one of the reasons why this knob is probably so tight is because it's what holds the drive sprocket in place. The drive sprocket is just clamped in place by the shoulder of the knob shaft. So they probably cinched it down really tight so it wouldn't slip. Now, as far as the Mercury itself, fortunately, since I've already broken it loose once, it comes off without needing a strap wrench. So I'm going to just go ahead and follow the procedure, take off the right knob, this screw, spring, and arm, and the left knob, and we'll pull its platen out and swap them into the other machine. The teeth on the sprocket point toward the front of the machine. And here is the newly recovered platen we're going to put into the Saturn. By the way, the feed rollers on the Saturn look good. There's no flat spots and it still is soft, so I'm not going to replace those. I'm just going to clean them good. Okay, so you want to move the carriage all the way to the left and then put the shaft in on the right-hand carriage plate first, like that. Okay, so there is the spring-loaded roller, which is back here, and the sprocket here has to push against that roller in order to go in properly, but it also has to fit onto the shoulder of the left platen knob. So to do that, I'm going to put the sprocket over the shaft of the platen. Also make sure you release the feed roller tension. So the shaft here goes down through the slot in the left plate like that, in there. And now what you have to do is simultaneously get the shoulder of the left platen knob centered on the hole of that sprocket. And this shoulder also has to go through the center hole of this slot on the left plate, and you're pushing backwards like that against the spring tension of that roller. And you'll find that the sprocket here is going to just flop around. So you kind of have to hold it with your third hand. You have to hold it and push the sprocket against that roller. And you know, if it's done right, you'll be able to center everything up, and it takes a little bit of finagling to get it all centered. There's no easy way to do this. Like that. I think I lucked out. Like that. If it's wobbling up and down, it means it's not centered. Okay, and then we just got to get this piece of metal in. The hook shape of that metal bracket goes between the frame and the sprocket. It goes underneath the line spacing selector like that, and then you will have to hold your mouth just right, line up the hole with a hole, and screw in the screw and the spring into that hole right there. Attach the right Platen knob. Okay, we have the new Platen in the Saturn, so now it's time to test it. Well, okay, so right up here is the initial test without a backing sheet on the old Platen, and this is the initial test with the JJ Short Platen, and I can definitely see a difference in darkness and clarity between the two. It seems to be darker on the newly recovered Platen with the same ribbon, of course, and the same paper. And then, of course, these two are using the backing paper. Well, that was actually good practice, swapping the Platens back and forth. And then I put the original hard Platen back into the Saturn. And, well, because today's Sunday, I'll probably do tomorrow or Tuesday, I will go ahead and pull this out again, get it shipped out to JJ Short, and then set this typewriter aside and wait for it to come back. So when I ship this Platen roller off to JJ Short, I have that line spacing sprocket taped to the left Platen knob in the orientation. It needs to go the top of the sprocket. The teeth are pointing toward the front of the machine. I've reattached this metal line spacing bar with the spring and the screw, and the right Platen knob with its set screws tightened down is just sitting in the other side of the Platen area. So I'll just store the machine away like this, and the parts will be intact, ready to put back in when I get the Platen back from JJ Short. And I have a really good idea now of how it's going to perform with a new Platen, having already put a new Platen into it. If you guys have any questions, drop a note down below. And if you have a typewriter collection and you need to get your Platens resurfaced, some of the machines like the Smith Corona 5 series, the Silent and the Silent Supers, and the Smith Corona 6 series are often very easy to remove the Platens, but other machines are a little more challenging. This one here, this line of Silver-Seiko machines, it really helps to have a set of strap wrenches so you can get enough torque onto the Platen and the knob without damaging either one. I wish you the very best in your creative pursuits and have yourselves a great day. Bye-bye for now.